Hello, welcome everybody. This is Reality Era. I'm your host, and today I'll be discussing the biggest problem in professional wrestling. Pains me to say, but it's the Bullet Club. The Bullet Club problem is a generational flop. Before I get into any of that, I would like to give a huge shout out to everybody who's helped me along the way. I'd love to give a huge shout out to my family, Real Take Wrestling. You know, all I ever wanted to do was, get on OT Graps with them, and hopefully, as this channel progresses, one day I do hope, I do plan to be there at some point, God willing, as long as they're cool with it. I do plan to be on OT Graps or Real Take Wrestling one day. I do think those guys are amazing. Shout out to Kiss the Ring. Tranquilo Club is a big. I think Tranquilo Club is the first wrestling YouTube that I've ever gotten really into. I watch every single one of his videos. I'm a huge fan. He once said, "First guard taken, and that just makes us trainers." And I think he's inspired me to make this video. I hope he's watching. Even though I have like 2 subscribers, most of them are my family. I do hope he's watching, and I hope to, do right by him and his style of content. I'm not Tranquilo Club, I'll never be it, but I do hope, at least when it comes to the professional wrestling aspect of this channel, that he set a bar that I do hope to reach on every single episode. Shout out to Dr. Boxing. I love chatting up with that. And Showbiz the Adult, those big bros, they've also inspired me. They let me know that, anything is possible, and, to never take anything for granted, and just to push and pursue. And even though it might not seem like the right thing to do, especially with starting a YouTube channel, that they stayed persistent, they stayed on it. They showed me it was possible. Shout out to Dr. Box and Showbiz the Adult. But with all the, with all the shout outs out the way, let's get into the meat and bones of why everybody's here. The Bullet Club. Bullet Club problem. But before we get into why the biggest problem in professional wrestling being the Bullet Club, I think it lacks, I think I'll give you guys a quick little backstory what the Bullet Club did in professional wrestling. I don't know if I'm really allowed to say all these things, but they were the faction. They were one of the biggest factions ever. They are the biggest faction ever. They were able to start a company. The Bullet Club Elite are the elite in all elite wrestling. I think people forget that. And I do think what they were building up to and why there's so much hype on them is the Bullet Club Civil War that never truly got to see. I don't think the story ever got to be what it was going to be between Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega, as far as people in the faction fighting for superiority over the Bullet Club. By then, they had started All In, and I just think that it's a story that's worth picking up. Not just by AEW, but by WWE also. I saw Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles in the ring, and I don't think they mentioned the paths enough. Finn Balor and AJ Styles, they should have a feud. Finn Balor and Cody Rhodes, they should have a feud. The Good Brothers are there. Tama Tonga is there. Right? I do think there's a path where they can put a more emphasis on, Bullet Club. And the fact that what their paths have been, and the fact that Bullet Club changed all of their careers. Bullet Club has changed almost everybody's career since they've gotten it. David Finlay is more relevant than ever, for good or bad, whether you like the War Dogs or not. I know not a lot of people are big fans of them, but I just think that the fact that both companies, AEW, New Japan, WWE, have now put an emphasis on the Bullet Club. And I'm going to break it down to three very, very, very short parts on why it's the biggest problem in professional wrestling. I think it starts with New Japan, as far as the lack of emphasis Bullet Club has had over the past couple of years. I do think the leader of Bullet Club should be the head, probably should be the head heel in that company, let alone the face of that company. I just think that it's over. It's time. It's just overdue for a facelift. I do think during the rebuilding stages of Bullet Club, with Clark Connors and Gabe Kidd, I think those guys are phenomenal. I just think the lack of emphasis that New Japan's put on Gabe Kidd, Clark Connors, David Finlay, the whole Bullet Club faction in general has been pretty sad to watch, and I do think it shows where it kind of ranks for priorities in New Japan as far as the emphasis needs to be put back on Bullet Club to even make this possible. I do think they're still relevant. I think they've lost relevance ever since Jay White left, but I still think they can be a great faction. Now, number two, AEW. I do think AEW's a lack of lack of cohesion as far as the fact that you can have Jay White, you can have Hangman Adam Page, you can have Kenny Omega, you can have Adam Cole, you can have the Bucks, you can have them all in the ring. And unless AEW chooses to do the storyline, be about everything else but the Bullet Club Civil War. AEW has the most parts to do it. They truly do. But the lack of emphasis on those people, the fact that they were all in New Japan at some point. I think the lack of the true lack of focus that the storyline has had, and maybe it's me for getting my hopes up when Jay White and Kenny Omega were across the ring from each other in Impact Wrestling. This was like 3 years ago, and I thought, man, we're gonna get the Bullet Club Civil War, a full Bullet Club Civil War storyline with New Japan and AEW. The first Forbidden Door was amazing. I thought, okay, we're finally gonna get it. We're finally gonna get a Bullet Club Civil War storyline that pans out. It never got to that, and it's very disappointing to see where it's fallen from. I just truly do believe that AEW is used part of the problem, considering Kenny Omega and Jay White still haven't picked up that storyline. They still haven't picked up. Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega have been in the ring way more times than Jay White ever has with Kenny Omega, and it's pretty sad to see. And I do think the next time, very soon, they'll have a year and a half, maybe 2 years to capitalize on the story before it's done, before Kenny Omega retires, before Hangman Adam Page contract is up. I think these are all people that should be. I think the fact that the amount of stars that are in that company should be is definitely a great thing to have, but the lack of focus on where they have come from I was like, I got a little tongue tied there, from Bullet Club. I do think that's pretty sad. I do believe in AEW. I just think every Forbidden Door we played this game where's Jay White? Where's Bullet Club? They haven't been seen since the first one. And I do think that now it's in the UK. There should be no reason why the fact that none of them interact. I do think Hangman's a big part of that. I do think the Hangman Jay White one is somewhat disappointing, considering they didn't go into the past though. Jay White was the head guy of Bullet Club. Hangman, not so much. He was a good hand, and he went from a good hand to main eventer and held the AEW World Championship, something Jay White has yet to do. And I don't think there was an emphasis on it. It's pretty sad to see. I do believe that there's a great chance that it can be done. I don't know if it will be. I have high hopes for this storyline. I do think it's the biggest storyline in professional wrestling, period. But I do think if they don't focus in on it, it's just going to be a waste opportunity that we never see pan out. It'll be one of those where we had Sting and The Undertaker, the same company, at the same WrestleMania. They didn't go against each other. It just feels like we're on borrowed time with this storyline, or potential storyline. And unless AEW, WWE, and New Japan fully lock in, it'll be a wasted storyline. I do think Bullet Club will, still be around in a couple of years, but I do think the fact that it's losing so much stock so soon, as it is in the rebuilding stages of the faction, I do think it is kind of now or never. Very soon, bare minimum. Yeah. So, and one more thing, one of my bigger problems with this whole Bullet Club, or lack of Bullet Club storyline, just like one small point to prove, is that I don't think a Bullet Club, since I feel like they should be interacting more, and should be not just interacting more, but should be feuding with other factions. I do think that's a big thing. In to, in the grand scheme of things, where to know where I'm coming from, I do think New Japan. I do think if WWE sees the success of the New Japan, WWE will look over at New Japan and AEW, go, hey, well, maybe we would want that over it. And they would start their own little Bullet Club Civil War, if that makes any sense. And then New Japan could interact with WWE, and then it would potentially lead, very small chance, less than 5, small chance leading to AEW stars going over and interacting with. I do think it has the chances to open up the forbidden door, crack it wide open, and I do think it's lucrative for everyone involved. But that's just me. That's what I believe is the reality of the situation we're in. Thank you. Let me know what you guys feel in the comments. If you agree, disagree, let me hear it all. Yeah, this was Reality Era, and Bullet Club is the biggest problem in professional wrestling. Let me know what you guys think.